We're muted. Hello! Everyone's unmuted
Hello.
now.
Hi.
Hey! Everyone, welcome to the
Oh.
7th official Microsoft Flight Simulator Developer Q&A. Glad to see everyone here. Many usernames I recognize, so appreciate you supporting us and joining us for today's Q&A. My name is Jane. I'm one of the community managers here for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And of course, we have our Intrepid 3. I'll let them introduce themselves, starting with the far left. Oh, we have...
Who's far left?
Far left is no one right now. Far left is going to be Seb. A little out of order here. Seb, welcome.
Hello, I'm Sebastian from Asobo Studio. Hi, everyone.
Hey. And we also have Jorg.
Hi, everyone.
There we go.
Excited to be here. I'm Jorg, head of Flight Sim.
Last but not least, we have Marcial.
Hello, everybody. Marcia from Asobo and executive producer for Flight Sim.
Fantastic. Thank you all for joining. We have an awesome agenda today. If you are curious what we're going to be talking about, go ahead and type in !agenda, and you'll see an overview of what we got going on. We do have questions at the end, not only pre-selected ones from the forums, but we'll also be taking some live questions at that time as well. So I would please ask that you hold questions for that time. But we'll go ahead and get started here. The first thing we want to talk about is World Update 4, which obviously came out 2.5-ish hours ago, so I'm sure some of you are still downloading, or maybe you're just entering it now, but hope that goes well for you. So I'll pass it on to you, Jorg.
Yeah, we launched, yay. I hope you all having starting to have fun. Hopefully the download is over, and I don't know if everybody had a chance, so we have a little trailer, and maybe we'll start with that.
Yes.
Jane.
I'm getting you guys back in order. All right, let's check out the trailer. Awesome. That was gorgeous. So hope you guys enjoyed that or saw it this morning. Either way, we really hope you enjoy the update. York, I think you have more you want to share on this update, though.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I hope you like the trailer. World Update's a big collaborative effort. Obviously, Asobo is at the center of it all, bringing it all together, but we have lots of companies actually contributing. For example, Gaia is making all the POIs at the airports. We get photogrammetry cities. I don't know if you checked out Paris and Amsterdam yet. It's pretty amazing. We get that from a company called Blue Sky. Orbex is helping with airports, and there's just a ton of people coming together to really make these things happen. And then obviously the Bing team, that is a very great partner for us. They host a lot of that data. And then it's also Black Shark who's doing the procedural buildings. So it's a big collaborative effort. The trailers, so this one is a little longer because we had four different countries and we wanted to do justice to 4 different countries. But I wanted to show you just a little bit beyond the trailer, and we can go to this fast, but we only always have like 30, 40 scenes in the trailer. But in this particular case, we have over 100 POIs, and I just wanted to show you a few, maybe to motivate you to actually visit everything. Jane, if you just want to go click.
Sure.
So for example, Holland or Netherlands, we only showed 5 images, but there's quite a bit more. Just keep going through it. I don't know if you saw it, by the way, KLM. Yes, remember we talked about liveries. KLM is on board. They're super excited. You saw the KLM plane taken off of Rotterdam airport. And then I think here's Eindhoven. There's tons and tons of soccer stadiums, by the way. So if you really want to collect them all. And then I think the next slide shows maybe just a little bit of Rotterdam airport.
Yep. So here's Rotterdam Airport.
And it's great. Gaia is doing a great job researching and really making it feel just right. And now that we have KLM, we have tons and tons of correct liveries actually at the airport. So it's starting to feel really authentic, which is the whole point of all this. All right, if you're just going to keep going, we'll go fast through all this.
Belgium. Here we go.
Yeah, Belgium. Again, it's the same thing. There's a whole bunch of things we did in Belgium that are not in the trailer, but please visit. I think they're beautiful places. It's an awesome country. With Bing and various natural institutes, we actually got new DEM for everything. Belgium, I think we have to a meter or even 50 centimeters height field. Holland is a meter. France is 5 meters and a meter. So you see that the height field is much better. The aerials are significantly improved. Here you see Luxembourg. And then just a few pictures of all there's so many places in France that are beautiful. So we spent 3 months researching these areas. We had the benefit of Asobo is from France. So as a matter of fact, all these locations were picked by Asobo for the French section. And yeah, it's a beautiful country, super diverse. I honestly had no idea. And I grew up in Germany right next door, how diverse France really is. So I hope you really like it. We think it's a great update. And I think there's one more airport video.
Yeah, well, we got the this cool before and after from France.
Right, before and after.
Here we go.
Yeah, this is really just to show you a little bit of what it looked like before, and then it was either new DEM and or new POIs that were made. So here, this is famous Monet painted here. We actually have overseas territories from France as well. So go check those out. Very interesting. They also have some POIs, but we don't talk about a whole lot. And you see here, Nice Airport is beautiful location. And Parc des Princes.
There's a match tonight.
Yeah, I know who against whom too. German soccer. Oh my.
Awesome.
All right. So that was World Update 4 up now for you to enjoy. And then maybe as a surprise, we wanted to do a first announcement of a plane. this is a plane that the team wanted to do for a while. We actually had even tried to get something like this going for launch, but ultimately didn't do it. And it's the next slide.
There we go.
It's a top rudder, just 103 solo. So it's an ultralight. And ultralights are awesome if you fly the sim like I do, almost exclusively like in VR now. It's awesome. It's awesome in ultralights. So just show some of the pictures. I'll just keep going through. So we did a great job making the plane super fun to fly. Just keep going.
I can't wait to fly that one. Looks awesome.
All right, and it is coming super soon.
Nice.
Next slide. Yay. in 2 weeks. That's what we're aiming for. Never quite know, but that I think we're in good shape. So 2 weeks from now, we hope to have the Just Solo in your hands. And then Seb, you had an update because Seb did a bunch of work on this as well. So now we go over the sim updates.
Yep. And here's the clutch video here.
So a quick video recorded on the Just Solo. So the Just Solo has a very specific engine that has not been featured in any of our planes before. It's a very small engine. I think it has 2 cylinders only, and it has a clutch, a centrifugal clutch. So you can see it right now. Whenever the engine RPM goes below 2,100, the propeller disconnects from the engine and it just stops. So here you can see it right now, and if you just put a little bit more gas, go right above 2,100, it connects again and the engine goes. So I'm gonna take off a little bit. So this engine, this plane is so slow and agile that I'm gonna take off and land on the same runway. What I love with this plane is looking down. You feel like you can really see through. It's perfect to discover France, I would say, and the new world update, because you can see the ground so much. It feels a little bit. You must not be afraid of heights with this plane because it really feels impressive.
Especially in VR.
I'm in the air. I'm going to again. Taking enough altitude, gonna shut down the engine just to show the same thing again. So same thing in the air. I'm turning it off. You saw the switch going to off, so it's 0 RPM, but the propeller is unclutched, right? So it's spinning, just windmilling by the wind, and you can see it slow down when I'm going too slow. Turning the engine back on, and voila, here I go again. I still have some runway to go, taking some altitude. I just have time to land. So yeah, it's a specific piston engine type, which we've adapted for this plane. So there's been a few changes in this new clutch. So it's exposed the new functionalities of the sim, which obviously anybody who makes planes can also use. Just the same way the other things I'm going to talk about later. But these were some of the new improvements for this plane.
Yeah, Chad's saying how fun that's going to be in VR. I can imagine how realistic that's going to feel. And they are asking, is there a price point for this? Is it a free update? Do we know that yet?
Yeah, there is a price point for it. Because we actually have to pay license fees and stuff like that. But we're trying to make these things, very affordable. So I want to say it's $9.99. Julie controls these types of things, but I think that's right.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So on the topic of sim updates, Seb, I know you have a couple more updates you want to talk about. I have a presentation here on turboprops if we want to get into that next.
Sure, yeah. So a quick video. So so this is about sim update 4, the next sim update. So this is not what was released today.
Okay.
So we did a whole bunch of improvements on turboprops. So turboprops updates are gonna spread over a few updates, but one thing you can see right now that we fixed. So we changed the system so that it's now possible to change the whole torque power relation based on RPM. So as you see, I just moved around the RPM lever and it impacted torque. So this plane has been tuned for constant power. So when I reduce RPM, I get more torque. Another thing, so here very quickly, you see I'm at 4,000 feet. I've got 3,330, and I'm going up. So very quickly, just to demonstrate. And the torque is going down. So nothing is changing in the plane, not touching anything. And so on this plane, the torque by altitude relationship has been fixed. Another thing right now, okay, this is the prop drag and feathering. So you see I was diving at minus 1,900 feet per minute, and I'm feathering, and so the plane is going down slower. So I'm on autopilot, FLC stabilized at 130 feet. So if I'm going down slower, it means I'm dragging less. So the prop feather is working, the prop drag is working. Here you can see, so we added also a torque limiter. So this is the Cessna 208. It has a torque limiter at 2,500 foot-pound. So you will see I'm gonna push it up, and it's gonna be limited at 2,500. So automatically limited. So this is optional, right? So plane makers can use all these things. So they have a new table which allows to model the torque RPM relationship. There's a new table which allows to fix fuel consumption, which we use. So on these planes, tested. So all 3 turboprops in the sim tested by POH. We have the ITT, fuel consumption, torque, RPM. Everything has been checked, and speed and performance. And thanks to these new additions, it's much more accurate to the POH. And they are open for plane makers to be used on turboprops and well, improve the aircraft. So it's the first really step of work on turboprops. There's other things we have not addressed on this update, which are going to come later. But this is a series of 6 or 7 big updates in the core system.
That's great. Yep, I know it's been high up on the feedback snapshot. So I think hopefully community is very happy with these turboprop updates. Next, we have a video here on the C-172 rudder. Open that up. All right.
Yeah, so very interesting. So we're doing this work with many airplanes now. We're taking a real airplane in the air, and we are doing we have a specific choreography of moves. So here, this is full left, full right rudder. And then we are redoing the same thing in the sim and improving the plane. So you can here see side by side the 172. And we're improving right, it's really fine tuning the aerodynamics on the plane to get them exactly realistic. So this is an update which has been done on 7 planes for Sim Update 4. So all 3 turboprops, the 2 172s and the 2 152s. And we're going to roll this out on several other planes as we move forward. and taking more and more planes in the air and doing some sort of specific tests. So this is data we can't collect from a POH, or it's really data you have to go out, experiment in order to get exactly the same. And yeah, so this is something we started, and 7 planes are going to benefit from this in Sim Update 4.
Just wanted to say hi to Francois, who did the true Cessna thing. Hi, Francois.
And both of these updates coming in Sim Update 4. So yeah, I'm reading comments here.
And to be more specific, what this improves is adverse yaw, induced roll, all the secondary effects are a lot more accurate. The plane feels, so this specific plane feels less twitchy, so the inertia is now aligned with the real aircraft based on these changes. So it's not a change in the sim, right? It's in the flight and the airplane file. It's just tweaking of accurate areas of different surfaces, which is just 10 to 20% more accurate on some, but it has a surprisingly big effect on the final feel and handling of the aircraft.
Awesome. Alrighty. So, well, we have World Update 5 here, but before we get to that, I'm going to go back to Sim Updates. Martial, can you talk a little bit about the optimizations coming to Sim Update 4?
Oh, optimization. Optimization is a ongoing concern for the team, and we're always trying to bring you the best, guys. So I've seen that people were pleased by the update we did with the latest outfix. So we are continuing to work on this matter. We're working very hard on the updates, on optimization, sorry. So on sim updates 4, you're going to get some, especially we did some optimization for the glass cockpit systems so on all planes that have the benefit of glass cockpit, this should get improved a bit. But as I was saying, we are still working on performance, and I'm pretty sure, well, I know we've got a roadmap for that, but later on we will continue to bring some improvement for the memory consumption and also for GPU and CPUs. And just a few things about Sim Update 4. It's not the only features we're bringing there. We've been working on the traffic. So we've changed the way we are filtering traffic. So you will have more real-time air traffic and a better behavior. We've also worked on FX for landings, a bit on the ATC on the approaches too. And on a system that everybody is expecting some changings on the weather radar. So the weather radar now returns precipitations. So it's something that that has been reprioritized. How do you say that in English? Reprioritized, depending on the feedback we got from the community.
Mm. Awesome, thank you. And any questions on that, we'll take a little bit here towards the end of the session. But for now, we're going to move on to World Update 5.
World Update 5. Well, so I watched the chat. It was interesting. Nobody got it quite right.
Really? Okay.
Well, the snow has melted, folks. So it's about to. So the next World Update is Jane.
Bam. Okay.
The Nordics. What do you mean by Nordics? Next slide shows it's Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Iceland. And we started already. We have all the DEM data together, which is great, and it's going to be making a huge difference. And here are some of the early POIs. I put them sort of in a sequence,
Okay.
just to give you a little bit of a snackable.
I'm really excited for Iceland personally. I love flying over that area. Very cool.
Well, it's going to help a ton. Like if you really flew up there with the fjords. I flew the mission from Perfect Flight. I don't know if you guys did, but really cool. But I was like, man, those fjords could be a little bit sharper. So I think we're going to get a lot of that with this update. This is all the way north. And now we're going back down south.
And that's coming?
It's coming pretty soon.
Pretty soon. June 2020.
We're aiming for June. So could be earlier. June is kind of the latest we think this is going to land. There will be some new Tin Cities. I'm not quite ready to tell you exactly which one, but I can tell you which airports.
Sure.
So it's EKRN Bornholm, which is in Denmark. BIIS. Isafjordur. Yeah, well, here goes. Is in Iceland, famous. ENSB Svalbard in Norway. ESSA Stockholm Arlanda, super cool. And then EFVA Vasa in Finland. They're all being fully researched. Gaia's already on it. We picked them. It was sort of a combination of it's the right airports, and also, as I always say, we're trying not to make airports that lots of third parties have already done or are currently in progress. So I think this is a good balance of that, and hopefully you'll like them when they're ready in a few months.
Now, I want to ask this, Jörg, because it's a question I often get from the community, and if you're willing to share, but are you able to explain how resources are split up between sim updates and world updates internally?
Yep, they're not that overlapping, right? So obviously we know that we're making a sim, right? Sim updates are critical. You all know this. You're the core simmer, so you know more about this than anybody else. So the most of the programming team is not on world updates. The world updates are a lot of data, and there's quite a few external teams. There's a team at Asobo that obviously works on that. There's also a mission team that works on this to make the experiences. I should probably mention we are we liked what's going on, so we're going to even get some external folks helping us with missions going forward, because some of them were really great. announcement coming soon.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, think about it this way. There's about 40 people at Gaia making objects, either POIs or the airports. Then there are, I think, 4 or 5 people at Orbex helping with airport, alignment and make sure that all the parking spots and runways are right and all that, taxiways are correct. Then we have Black Shark working on procedural buildings and some of the, when new aerials come in, they do machine learning stuff in order to make sure the trees are on the right spot and whatnot. And then there's the Bing team, and the Bing team is helping us a ton. And then we also work with, right now we're mostly working with Bing and or Blue Sky for photogrammetry cities. So we typically tell Blue Sky, here's what we would like, and then they either have the data already and or create the data and or get the data from sourcing. That's how we, for example, got Paris, which was another one of those, like we really needed Paris for this update, and we already had Brussels, as you might know, and then we wanted to have something in Holland, so we did Amsterdam.
Mhm.
But from the Asobo side, I know, Martial, you're in a better position. How many folks are really working on world updates like full time versus, a sim update?
I don't know the numbers, but we've got different kind of people working on that. There's a processing team, obviously. There's also the QA. They make sure that everything is going to be imported correctly. And we also have the engine teams that takes the data, ingest that, and see all the correction that has to be done. And then with our partners, we're also running some processes on top of that to review, for instance, the tree coverage things when you've got new aerials, so it matches. Some color correction, every processes that help us to have like one unified world, whatever the kind of resources you're getting, whatever is the photogrammetry team, DM, photos, everything is matched and computed, so you just get one world.
Mhm. Awesome. Yes, I think that answers the question. So it's good to know that it seems fairly separate, and so obviously our core simmers are really important to us. So some people were concerned if we're pulling resources one way or another for these updates, and the answer is they're pretty separate.
I mean, look, when we first started, we heard a lot. VFR is important, and I think the digital twin.
Stink meaner, my demeanor with the Nina. Senoritas wanna meet me at the Catalina. Wine mixer, mix it up with my elixir. Facts, Spacey homie, you could call me Drax. Swing every single track, and you know it's about to start.
Twin that we're making is a really result of that wish from simmers, from flight simmers, to basically be able to do VFR across the planet. I'm sure there's like 20, 30 people at Asobo doing world updates, but we have, I don't know, 120, 130, something like that. So just think about it that way. It's we're making a sim, the world updates are cool. They make it delightful to explore the planet. We'll keep doing this, but it's not an either or. It's very much a parallel effort.
Cool.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention the artists which are working on the world updates. That's bad. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Pat. All right, so moving on. I do see some questions about some bugs. We'll get into those after this, but first we have another announcement. So.
Oh, yes.
Plane announcement too.
Next slide. Another plane announcement. So, sometimes you have a really good time working with someone. And so Sebastian in particular, but other people at Asobo as well, the plane team had a lot of interactions with Aerosoft and specifically the CRJ team. And it was delightful and positive, and look at the results. CRJ is great. So we then approached our guest. Our guest is coming. Oh, maybe he's coming later. Maybe I'll say the plane first. Yeah. I got this wrong. So basically, we loved working with our team, and then we asked them what is their favorite plane, and here's what they said. Next slide, Jane.
There it is, ATR.
Yes, so it's the ATR 42 and 72-600, and we already have started the model actually, so you can see some images. Here we go. Just keep going through those.
Sure thing.
with their awesome new livery. Thank you, Bernard did great. So, and the great thing about the ATR is that, as you might know, ATR is a French company and super enthusiastic, like of the manufacturers. They are some of the most enthusiastic collaborative people imaginable, and they are so excited about this, and they're going to help us a lot making this particular group of planes. And on top of that, and now we can have our guest come in.
Yes.
We are lucky enough to have us joined by the people that made the last great ATR, and that is Hans. Some of you will undoubtedly know Hans. And
Yeah, so Hans,
might
feel
show
free
up
to,
in Zoom now.
to join. There we go. All right. We have Hans here on camera now. Thank you for
Hello.
joining us.
Hans.
Yes. Hello. Good. I'm Hans Hartmann. I'm a freelance developer for flight sim products. You might know my CRJ and several other things I've done before. For example, the Flight 1 ATR 72500, which is the basis for this new project. Means that Jörg and us, we talked about potential projects, and he mentioned that an ATR will have to be done. So we mentioned, yes, we did the last one with ATR together, and yes, that's how this whole thing started. Pretty much we are working on the initial phases of the project right now. So it's not going to be want to be released anyway soon, but we are confident that we will have it by Jörg.
It's the next slide. Yeah, so we're planning on having this in sometime in 2022. Let's be real.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is complicated. And Hans, you might want to talk just a little bit about the level of sophistication we're going to try to reach.
Yes, for those who know the previous ATR, we implemented pretty much everything that was possible at this time in the simulator, which was Flight Simulator 2004 and FSX. We're going to increase this, of course, to the levels of the new Microsoft Flight Simulator, and we're going to try to add some nice features which haven't been possible in the old ATR. So we're looking forward to doing this, but of course, no details yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's early days. For me, it's the best of all worlds coming together. I think, I mean, as I said, Hans and his team have totally impressed us with the CRJ work. Collaboration with Seb and team was awesome, and the rest of Asobo, and then ATR's willingness to really open up and help us make this as good as you can make it, I think is great. And it's going to take time, so be patient. I'm sure there's going to be preview versions and whatnot, but we haven't really talked. I see some of the questions about, oh, it's the price. We have no idea. We just want to make a great plane. That's fundamentally what we want, and we'll figure out the rest. But in my opinion, we have the best people in the world working on the ATR, which makes me super happy.
Thank you. So.
Yeah, and thank you so much for joining us, Hans. It's great. I know a lot of the community already knows you, via areas of the internet. So appreciate you coming on today to talk about the ATR and introduce yourself formally here. I think from here, though, we'll move on to the rest of the session. Everyone, thank Hans, say goodbye, and well wishes. We'll talk to you soon, Hans.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Hans. super, like if you get to talk to Hans like I do, like his passion and love for the ATR is infectious. Like he's like, what's your favorite plane? ATR. Oh, okay, cool, awesome. So it's gonna be great.
Mhm. Alrighty. We'll go ahead and switch to our other slide here. Yep, coming 2022. So we'll continue on now over to the feedback snapshot. We'll talk through a few of the items on here, starting with the bugs section. Get that pulled up here. All right, so we've talked about all the fun, awesome things coming. So let's hone in now on some of the fixes or features that might be coming down the line. First, we have the bugs snapshot up right now, Jorg, if you want to go through
Yeah, I mean,
this.
I can speak to a few. I think we'll more or less freeform this. I mean, I
Yeah.
think you all know working title is working on the Garmin. We don't have Garmins. We don't have a date yet, but I can tell you there are highly motivated group of people and you know them, they're awesome. So it's coming. We said Sim Update 4 is going to have some fixes, 5 and 6. I think it's going to take us that long to really get it to a great state. But I think we all know we have top-notch people now on this, and I think it's going to be, I have full confidence this is going to be great. Performance, I think we fixed a bunch, specifically the bugs. I think Martial has already talked to some of the performance improvements. I'm looking forward to the day when we can actually talk a little bit more about the performance improvements that come from all the work the engine team has put in for the Xbox, and it's going to be just awesome. Like, and so I don't know, Martial said if you guys want to talk to this today or something, but we haven't really talked about this. But I see it from the sidelines. I'm seeing it where the frame rate is, and what we're seeing from memory, and it's great work.
Yeah, it's on memory we're seeing something like a 3x improvement maybe for exactly same result. So that's going to be impacting, I would say, PC a lot, especially those people who had maybe 16 gig machines and lots of streaming on the disk or swapping issues. We're also improving a lot the loading times. Performance is going up, and some of the improvement Martial talked about earlier, which is going into Sim Update 4, were actually discovered or done for the Xbox, and it's I would say when the change is small and not too risky, we try to bring it into the PC sooner. That's what's happening with Sim Update 4, just so that people benefit from the work as soon as possible. And the good news is really that it's going to open up a lot of future improvements. That's really the goal here, is that we can. I mean, we're already adding lots of things and improving lots of things, but the 3x memory improvement is opening a lot of doors for a lot more density and detail and complexity.
Seb, do you want to speak a little bit? Like, I'm reading the chat and people are like, don't degrade the visuals, don't dumb down the PC. So
as Seb said, it's the opposite.
Yeah, we're trying to keep, so I think we brought something on the trees. It was really not intentional. Actually, what happened is that I think everybody's been complaining about trees being too big, and we did measures and we found that there was many places where trees were too big, and so trees have been rescaled. But what happened is that the display range of trees was depending on size. So when you make the tree smaller, they don't go as far, and it's not very visible because they fade into the texture background, but still you could see it. So what we did is we basically doubled. So a tree which is, for example, 20 meter high is going to be seen 2 times further away than it used to be before.
Nice.
Basically, we tried to get back to the same tree density we had a few months ago, but with smaller trees. So basically, there has to be more trees because they cover less, right, when they're smaller. So getting the correct tree height, so that when you're on an airplane, it gives you really a feeling of how far the ground is, right? If the trees are twice too big, it doesn't work. But giving the same coverage and view distance. So that should be what Update 4. But yeah, what we're trying to do is having exactly the same rendering than Ultra has. And we're currently working, as we already announced in past feature updates, on on making options so that sliders can go higher than PC Ultra, right? Because with all the power and memory that we're freeing up, obviously the goal is to use it by allowing the sliders to go higher up in the very next months or so, whenever that's ready. But that's the next step, is to go beyond Ultra on PC.
Awesome. And this isn't in our feedback snapshot because it's a fairly new bug, but I see chat asking about it. So there's a bug recently where an error would pop up that would say the packages were out of date, and if you clicked through it, some people's logbooks pretty much completely disappeared. So do we have a statement regarding that issue at this time?
Yes, we do. The bug has been fixed, and we still have to do some investigation of what happened on the deleted logbooks. Because as a matter of fact, we were not able to reproduce here. So we still have to check that, but at least for 1.4, this will not happen again.
Okay, and
I like the ludicrous distance, whoever wrote that. Oh yeah, Spaceballs all the way.
Is there clarity in when their logbooks get deleted? Is there any way that they'll ever be able to bring that back? Is that something we're just gonna have to work through or think about in the future?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But at least it should not happen anymore.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Is there anything else you wanted to say? On
Yeah,
the bugs?
look, we're
Yes.
talking about this every week. Trust me. So
Yes.
live weather, I think we talked about it a little bit. We're planning something significant, but it's going to take a while. There's something in Sim Update 4, but much more in Sim Update 6. So just know that we heard you loud and clear. Weather is important, specifically the meta is important. So we're on it. For the grammetry, I sort of hinted at this. Sim Update 6 is another one. There's quite a bit of work going on the Bing side of that. So I think that's going to help us. Seb, I don't know if you want to speak to night lighting. You talked to Turboprop already.
Night lighting, so I think it's the same. I mean, talked about it last time, right? It's the long distance. So the team is working on that right now. It's going to affect different areas. There's also night lighting on the world map, so it's both systems that we need to improve. But we've done a lot of work on night lighting close up. It's really just the long range fix that is missing. Sim Update 6 currently planned, no change. Turboprops here, as Jörg said, there's been a big chunk of work done on Sim Update 4. It's going to come up soon. I showed the video. It's mostly in air. The remaining issues are beta mode on ground, some dynamic displays like the red or green areas. They can actually move on this display. Stuff like that needs to be updated. And obviously feedback, right? We're really looking to forward to feedback once Sim Update 4 is out on what has been done so far, both from simmers, but also third party plane makers. To continue improving this on Sim Update 5 and 6, but a big chunk has been done in 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just maybe to plug, we have our first SDK stream coming up in next week. So I looked at the mirror textures and such. So for those of you who are modders or creators, please come to that. The team will be there to answer questions and also give a quick presentation, I think. So these are the kind of conversations we need to have. We fully understand that liveries are really important. By the way, I downloaded everything I could find, so I love those things. And yeah, it's something we absolutely want to support. And there's a couple of explanations on the mirror texture stuff. And a lot of these other things are, as you can see here, are either work in progress or are going. So we update this every week, and hopefully it's useful. We might actually lengthen it. I heard some feedback that the top 24 is a little rigid and not, it doesn't go deep enough. So we are thinking about adding the next 24, so to be a little bit more clear, because there's a ton of stuff going on everywhere in the sim that doesn't really happen on that 24 list. So we just discussed this earlier today that we're probably going to try something next week to actually expand that list down to the top 48 things. And so you have a little bit more visibility. Hopefully that helps.
Cool. And here's the wishes snapshot there. I believe you had some updates on fly-by-wire.
I mean, I think you heard the announcement, right? So we are getting closer and closer. They already split the package, which is great. Was another step. I think legally we're in a pretty good space. I think I have a meeting with them tomorrow or something like that. So we are very aware that that's the number one thing. And the number two thing, multiple screens. I saw it in the chat earlier. I don't know if either one of you want to say something about that or replay.
Seb?
Replay, so we're in the design. I mean, it says right
Yeah.
prototype design phase. We are looking at replay feature and trying to design something cool. To me, replay goes a little bit beyond just making replays, right? It's a whole system where the state of the plane is saved and reloaded. It can allow stuff like like saving in the middle of a flight, or it must be more than just doing simple replays. And so we're in the design phase. I mean, same thing. If there's a thread about it, if people want to throw in ideas about what you could do if you could save and replay states of planes beyond the replay, and what you would like to do with something like this, it's good to also give input. There's all sorts of ideas of stuff you could imagine doing, and beyond just making a simple replay, right? I don't know, instant replays or saving all sorts of, like, I don't know, you want to repeat a landing, you could just save a state and then reload it, stuff like that. What would you do with something which can save states and replay saves states of planes? Yeah, but it's in design phase.
Yeah, want to talk about shared cockpit, because I see it pop quite a bit here in the chat.
Well, maybe I can. So replace or shared cockpit. There's a link in between these two technologies, because basically every time you want to do a replay, you want all the CMVAs and all the data from the plane to be reproduced on the video, and basically having some shared cockpit is having like this high frequency sampling solution for a plane to share that with somebody else. So it's also something that these two technologies are going to share some of the code, and it's also something we would like to bring very soon.
Great.
Or at least soon.
I would love that. So I'm seeing a lot of questions that are pretty much the pre-selected ones that we're about to ask. So I think we should just hop to those, because I think that'll answer a lot of the questions I'm seeing. I'll go to the screen here. So we asked the forum users several weeks ago, ask us any questions. We gathered kind of the top 10 to 15 here. So this first question is going to be for Jorg. This is the top question overall. So AIG, that's Alpha India Group, they're a team known for their offline AI traffic solutions. And they're working on bringing a realistic offline AI traffic to our sim. But they're hitting some issues with the SDK and hoping for some assistance. And they're wondering, they know we're trying our hardest to bring AI traffic and stuff, but there's copyright issues, right? So we're wondering if we're going to be able to support AIG team, at least for their SDK questions, and if you've made contact with them.
I have not, but honestly, so thank you, by the way, all for writing me. There was a lot of emails. Thank you. But I'm a little bit behind. It's bad on me. But yeah, so I'll look for it. I just want to say something about air traffic in general, maybe. And look, I think it's super duper important for us. Like David, creative director at Asobo, actually always said, look, one of the most important things we can do is an authentic experience, both at airports and also in the air. And at airports, you obviously see all the planes. So we've been going a little crazy on modeling a bunch of planes. You'll see what's exactly going on. But our goal is we're flight aware, right? So our goal is the ideal is that we have at some point all the planes that are flying around with all the correct liveries. And a point to the liveries, because I think somebody said something like, you don't have to go call the airliners anymore. We kind of do. I just want to let you know what I think some of the benefits are. So for example, with all the manufacturers, for example, with ATR, it really benefits the sim if we have a great relationship, because they end up helping us with the planes. And it also helps us. So that's on the plane side. When you think about airlines, they're actually really important entities in this world, and certainly the world of aviation. And the KLM conversations we had over the last few weeks were really great. And there are fascinating things that KLM is doing that now that we have a close relationship, they want to bring to the sim because we have a relationship, and it's kind of like the relationship I think we have, like talking to each other, listening to each other is critically important for anything. So I really like interactions having with airlines, also airports. There's an interesting, we can talk about this longer at some point or another. Airports are an interesting beast, right? They're all kind of unique. And what's going on at the airports is actually quite unique per airport. So you need to have kind of information. You can't just get the data worldwide from some data provider. It doesn't exist. So we are on a quest to making that happen. That dream that David had a long time ago, that we have every plane right and every livery right. We're on it, and it's taken us time, but it's a ton of data. Like that's one of the things I want to say, because there's so many people talking about performance and whatnot. In order to make this all work, just imagine an international airport. Imagine here, France, Charles de Gaulle or something. Tons of planes, tons of airlines, tons of everything. And then we want to have great frame rate. So it's important that we are very mindful of how we make those planes, how complicated they are, and how, what are the LED systems and all that stuff, spatial partitioning. You can't just do this in isolation. So this has nothing to do with AIG and their offline mode, or like if I understand it right. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to hear you. In order for us to have an awesome sim experience that runs well, we need to be quite mindful of how all this stuff works together, and not just throw a bunch of data at it and then have frame rate of 10. And then you kind of look at the servo and say, hey, what's wrong with your frame rate? So it's we have to be a little bit organized about all this stuff. So I'm looking forward to the interaction. I'll find the mail, and I think we can take it from there.
Yeah, that sounds good. And if you can't find it, I got their contact as well. So we'll make sure we touch base with them. Thank you, York. This next question is for Seb. So right now, live weather has absolutely no effect on aerosol density. Reduced visibility due to humidity and haze is not really depicted in the sim at all. So when you're flying in a region like Southeast Asia, it's pretty immersion breaking, or the Middle East, where visibility is pretty poor because of dust, where aerosol density might be helpful. So when is live weather, or is it ever going to get an update to include humidity or dust parameters, or maybe some control over visibility settings?
Yeah, so non-live weather has an aerosol density slider, which is limited in maximum. Like you can't go down to what you would see inside a cloud. This is basically due to a limitation of the whole atmospheric scattering simulation, which cannot simulate extreme densities. So we plan on basically rebooting the atmospheric simulation system, but this is a long process, maybe 6 months long. In the short term, we can still have aerosol densities going down to with the visibilities of maybe a few thousand meters, which is most of the days.
And this is on live weather?
Yeah, so it is something we could do. We'll soon look at live weather data, how we can plug, what data source we can find with the live weather data provider, and what reliable data we can plug on this. But it's going to be limited in maximum until we have a new aerosol, basically whole scattering simulation. But we can do a better job definitely on live weather, at least between, I don't know, maybe the absolute maximum, which is maybe 200 kilometer distance, most day where it's going to be between 10 and 20, and probably down to 4 or 5 kilometers or something. Basically, the more you go down in visibility, the more it creates these horizontal lines, maybe some people have seen in the sky. And this is the artifact which happens when you have too much density. And it's not a bug, it's a limitation of the current, basically the integral of all the particles, which needs to be improved.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. The next question I have here for Marshall. So hopefully you've seen some of the feedback on the forums about some roads that are green. So is this on Asobo's radar screen to fix?
So yes, it is. We've been talking about that when we were talking about the melting all the data into one unified world. And so we are running processes, and among these processes, there's some color correction. And because we're collecting like pictures from different sources, and we want this to be unified, not to have like giant patches on different colors. And sometimes these color corrections bring some weird colors on places, on materials we all know by heart. So it's a process we've got to improve, so we can make sure that roads don't stay that green.
Okay. And another question for you, Marcel, is
Well,
2 in a row.
2 in a row.
Yep. So we're hoping for a little bit more plans on improving the default ATC, not really the bugs or the phraseology, but some of the missing features, such as receiving vectors without asking for them or declaring emergencies, these types of updates. So do we have a roadmap or anything coming soon on this?
Well, yes, we do have a roadmap. I could add some other issues that we want to fix. Like I know that the vectoring for ATC is sometimes giving roads through mountains.
Yeah.
Which we want to fix that. You can have like a constant switching back and forth between some centers. So the fact is, all this information, all these systems are deeply linked into the system which are used for the flight planning, for the topography awareness, also to airspace management. So every time we are doing some improvements on this area, we would like to bring improvement on the ATC system on top of that. So we do have a roadmap. I don't think that this has been shared with the community, so maybe it's something we could work on, sharing this stuff. But as I said, it's deeply linked into the improvement of the other systems. So you can't improve the ATC aside of what we're doing for all the other managements. So
Okay, that's great. I'm about to get back to Jorg here. So the user said, thank you very much for introducing the performance hotfix. It helped many people get back into simming. They said, I know that looking at Airport T6T helped the team figure out at least part of the performance problem. So they said, please correct me if I'm wrong, but if we had a bug reporting system inside of Flight Simulator that could take a snapshot of your telemetry, CPU, GPU, disk usage, and a dump of certain variables, the team could get to the bottom of these issues much faster. So is anything like this being considered on the team? And if so, when we expect something like that?
Yeah, I mean, so first off, yes, the feedback is super helpful. And we took a baby step, right? Since last time we talked, we did the first flighting of 300 people. I think there was it's interesting learnings. I got some feedback like, how did you pick the 300 and why was it time-based and all this other stuff. But just think about it as a dry run. We need to make sure that we understand how to do it, how to get the feedback, how to actually process the feedback. And ultimately, tools like this are totally important. So but we're taking sort of a one step at a time. Crawl, walk, run, if we would say. So we were still crawling just to get this up and running, have the infrastructure, have the build out early, all that stuff. And we got valuable feedback for World Update 4, by the way. So we'll look carefully how to expand that. I think I saw some really good suggestions from people about even segmenting who is testing what. And there's obviously IFR experts and people that are very specifically knowledgeable about specific planes. So I think you'll see us just expand that now in the coming months, now that we have a good baseline. And as part of that will be tools like the ones that you just described. That makes perfect sense. Like lots of PC planes games have that. So it's not, we don't have a specific announcement today, but it's something we need to do for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. And we'll get talking to more about the test and some other things here in a second. But the next question I had here was for Seb. So this user mentioned that the US World Update introduced lots of issues that affected the mesh and custom objects, especially things like terrain morphing and that coastline glitch, which exaggerated when the terrain LOD setting is set to lower value. So according to the feedback snapshot, the water creeping up on the coastlines has been acknowledged and it'll be receiving ongoing fixes, but there's no release date yet. But they are curious about the status of the mountain and coastline morphing. They understand, it's hard. It's a hard fix and it would take a lot of time, but they're hoping for acknowledgement of this, and if you have any kind of roadmap to eventually fix this issue.
So the US update introduced a bug on coastlines creeping. Yeah, okay. No, I think we'll have to look more on that.
I think it's the
I-
texture going up the height field is what it is.
Mhm.
Right? It has something to do with the water.
Yeah, because there was this bug with the lakes and but had, the lakes going into the sky. But this has been fixed in around Christmas time or in January. Yeah, we'll have a look at the thread because there's all sorts of different terrain issues that can happen, or depending on the data source, where on the world it is. And so yeah, we'll have a look at the thread.
But I can say somebody just said coastline glitch, which is also on the feedback snapshot. We know coastlines are a thing that we are going to look at specifically. So this is, the world is big, as Leonel said a long time ago, the world is big. But we know coastlines are important because it's obviously a very interesting point in any landscape. So we're talking about doing something more there. There's probably this bug that Sepp was just talking about because it's basically global. But just you'll hear us talk about coastlines more because we hear you. We agree, obviously.
Yeah. And from chat, I'm seeing a question here. Is the Xbox beta coming? You said last month you would clarify more this stream. Are we ready to share anything on any kind of Xbox beta?
What do we say about Xbox? It's I think, Seb, you should talk about the tech, maybe. Highest level Xbox, how it's going?
We have spent maybe 7-8 months optimizing memory and achieved 3x. Performance is also, I would say, almost done. I mean, we're always making progress. We would like to have 4 or 5 more FPS average. We are currently very much focused on loading times and stutter. I hope that stutter improvements on Xbox are also going to feed back onto PC. Some people still have or may have stutter on PC. There's been a lot of additions to make the controller useful and easy to use. I think you can see on the PC, the sensitivity menu has had new additions, which are great to use on PC, but which are also very good and useful for the Xbox controller, or even if you use the same controller on PC. There's improvements also, which basically it touches also VR, because in VR you also may not want to have a keyboard, and so there's a bit of overlap on how to make a cockpit easy to interact with also. And even though you can have a keyboard easy on Xbox, that's not an issue, but people may not want to use a keyboard. Yeah, really in the final phases of polish, I would say. But the big there was a few big challenges to I mean, it's the sim is a huge huge thing, and to run that on a console was a big challenge. But these challenges are behind. It's more like the final polish and making sure it's all slick, just like PC was on release.
Yeah, so thank you, Seb. I would have said it's going great. Like, I mean, honestly, when we started, it was a daunting task, maybe even a little scary to get the sim on Xbox, but it is now on Xbox. It is running, and it's actually quite good. What we are mostly now working on, where some of the work lies, is to make it smooth, to make the user experience good. There's UI stuff you need to do. Seb was just talking about the controller. We are very cognizant of the fact that I think you're all simmers, right? Like, but I think there's a few million, potentially many million of people that are not simmers coming to the sim for the first time. And we want to make them feel welcome. And we feel like a lot of responsibility really to make them feel welcome. And so there's work going on in the design team and the art team and the UX team to really make that elegant, and that affects all kinds of things like the tutorials and whatnot. So that's where the work is. But as far as the port itself, it's been fantastic work by Asobo to get this running on Xbox. So we're super excited. And obviously summer is coming. It's not that far away anymore. So hey, it's pretty soon.
Yep, definitely. So Seb, have you looked more into implementing DLSS or FSR support? So far, we have received conflicting answers. So in our September Q&A, we said that DLSS support, would be coming with DirectX 12. Later one, we were told the team had not really looked into it yet. So with video cards becoming extremely expensive and rare, especially with VR and ray tracing getting added into the mix, an advanced upsampling method is required. So since the sim already has motion vectors for TAA, it means that adding DLSS support would not require a lot of effort relative to the potential performance advantage. So do you have anything you want to say regarding DLSS?
Yeah, no, not started. And indeed, it will probably require and wait for DirectX 12 to be there. So it's something which is really not. I mean, some people may want it really bad, but it's not really very high to me on our priorities right now, because we have a okay anti-aliasing method with the TLAA and with other methods. Frame rate is not really mostly GPU limited right now. It's more systems and stuttering and the whole work which is going on with the planet. And so DLSS has not started yet. I think we'll look into it once the Xbox version is done. The engine team will have more free time, especially those working on graphic systems,
Sure.
to look at improvements like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Seb.
Can I answer the question? I was like, I felt bad because people actually asked a specific question of a beta on Xbox, and then I said a bunch of words and not anything about the beta. So sorry about that. Yeah, so basically, just alongside this flighting that we just did, the good news is that there's a producer on our side, Lanny, and a new producer, Antoine, who are basically focusing on making making flighting possible. And there is also a plan for an Xbox beta. I can't tell you the date yet, because that has something to do with when we're actually launching on Xbox, and we'll see. But it's definitely in the intent to do one, but you'll know immediately when we know when the beta is and how big it is, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, that's great. But keeping it with you, Jorg. So this user said, you've undoubtedly created something truly groundbreaking in the genre, and I'm sure all of us are fully behind the project and its future. However, several, if not a lot of us, of the patches have created problems for users, creating a lot of frustration. It has an impact on the community's trust in the development process. So can you tell us how you plan to restore trust and keep everyone focused on the potential of this amazing project?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things, but I think the first thing is, if you look at the branching system, I think Seb talked about this, maybe, I don't know. I think there's 40, 50 branches. It's a little crazy. I mean, it has something to do that we are currently doing multiple things at the same time, but it's kind of complicated. Like when you really look at it, you have a PC title and we're porting it to Xbox at the same time. We're updating the PC title once a month. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. The poor test team, I mean, they're killing themselves really on both sides, the Asobo and our side, to make everything tested. But a sim is a sim, right? And you know how complex flight sims are and the level of detail you can get into. And that is why we are fully embracing the concept of flighting and, frankly, your help, because we can't test it all. It's important. Either we slow down the rate of updates a lot. That's one option. I don't think you want that. Or we get more people to help us look at systems on a more ongoing basis. And I think that's the right way forward. And that is what we're going to end up doing. And we're going to, as I said, the door is now open. We figured out how to get this done. I think the team at Asobo has figured out how to get these branches set up so we can actually flight. And now we need to go deeper into who flights when, how often, yada, yada, yada. But just know, we always said we want to be a very open development. We're trying to be as transparent as we can be, right? Hopefully that feels that way. But with the build, it's the same. There's no way that we should put a build out that causes stress, right? Like it should be the build is solid because it's been tested by us and by you. So we'll do that. It's just I keep saying be a little bit patient, but we've taken the first step. So hey, first step is the most important step in the journey, I think.
Yep.
So just know that we're gonna post-mortem this. So we got actually the feedback. I just saw this morning the analysis of the feedback we got for World Update 4. It was useful. It increased our confidence, and I think we will keep doing this going forward and probably broadening it quite a bit.
Awesome. That's good to hear. I'm going to skip to this question because we're talking about it right now, but Jorg,
Me?
you good? Yeah. So obviously with this recent testing, we had 300 people come in. A lot of questions were like, why did you make this decision to go with 300? What's the rationale behind this program? But you kind of answered it with saying it's kind of a test of the test, but do you have anything further to say on that?
I mean,
close
it's
it
all
up?
basic human things, really. Like we wanted to do a flighting for World Update 4.
Mhm.
We ran out of time, slowly but surely. Things were set up and the infrastructure came together and people figured stuff out. And then we were like a week before, and we said, "Wow, should we even do a flight for this?" And we decided we absolutely have to, because we want it, and you said the same. So let's go. But then we also needed to be careful. Right after launch, we got so much feedback that we literally could not do anything with it. It was like, just imagine you get 400,000 emails or something crazy, right? You can't even
Back
read
in
it.
August, yeah.
Yeah, I remember you were on that front, Jane. So so we basically said, let's just get a few hundred people and let's just do it by sign up. And Jane, I think you put the announcement out, and then it filled up just as quickly as Jane had predicted, Jane and Sean. And yep. And was it clunky and imperfect? It absolutely was, but it was a first step. And we're gonna keep improving that, and we're not gonna do that again. Like, it's not just the next 300-400 random first sign up. I don't think that's a good process. So we'll do the postmortem probably this week, and then we will think about exactly how we do it better for Sim Update 4.
Yeah. And a question I'm seeing in chat is, will Steam users ever be allowed to do these flights since it uses Xbox Insider Hub?
Oh, Laurent would know this. Martial, do you know? I don't know the answer to this.
We'll get back to you on
like,
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. So moving on. So let's talk a little bit about.
I was muted.
Sorry. Were you talking? Sorry. Go ahead, Marcel.
No. To answer, it's not only a matter of being able to do that on Steam, because we can do that on Steam. It's also a matter of collecting the group and allow them to have an access on the build. And for the moment, it's easier for us to do that on just one store and one tech. So we'll see later on in the future if it's expandable.
Okay.
The flighting group we have. To make it work on Steam.
Okay, thank you. So moving on, there's currently no water physics in the game. Is there any timeline planned for when this will be integrated?
Soon.
Again.
Seb, Marcel, you want to tell a story?
Oh, well, yeah. Last week, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Well, it doesn't matter. We spent some time on the Lac de Biscarrosse, which is a famous lake, very known in France because it was the basis of Latécoère, which was the brand that did these giant seaplanes that were crossing the Atlantic from Biscarrosse to New York, for instance. And we spent some time there to have some flight lessons on seaplanes. So I've got some images or videos if you want. So it was like the ignition of us understanding what is how the seaplanes are behaving on the ground. Why are you laughing, Yo? On the
Reading. I'm sorry. Stay on target. I will stay.
Okay. On the ground, on the sea, how it lands, how it takes off. So yeah. Hopefully, we will have all the materials to improve that part of the simulation.
Okay. And Marcial, with the release of the CRJ and the advancements in the other jets, when will the sim be capable of producing a functional weather radar?
Oh, okay. So I already answered a bit to that. So it should come with the Steam Update 4. So we are now doing some computation to have the projection of water drops and droplets, and we are trying to be physically accurate. I've seen some stuff in the forums saying that we should just get the weather radars and the rain radars that already exists in the real world. So it's not that easy, right, to do, because if we do that, we're going to get a discrepancy. The weather system, it's not like we are not streaming the weather from sensors all over the world. We don't have like a sensor every 10 kilometers that tell us if there's a cloud or not. We have to, and with the collaboration of our partners, that it's basically recreating a model of the weather conditions you're getting on one spot. And this is done by using some sensors, right? So we are working with them. Y'all tell me if I'm telling too much things, but working with them to have the most fresh data we can get here to have these projections being matching Methar and being matching all the sensors that people can use.
I think we'll do a full, like, so the plan right now, so it's a multi-month endeavor.
Yeah,
we're planning on doing a full a future discovery series update, because it's that substantial.
Yeah.
So let's just but know that we have already the plans are set.
Yes.
Great.
But even then, there is no way for us to just like take the real-time weather, which never is real time, and project that into the clouds we're getting, because it's always a model in which we will have the same weather condition that the one you will get outside, but you can't guarantee that you will have the rain exactly as it is on real life, and the clouds, we are not yet at the actual technology on which you can like take the picture outside and take this emission. You will have the same cloud in the same place. It's the weather condition we are reproducing here. So having this radar won't help us.
Okay.
All right. So there's a couple more things that I think we should get to. The first one is, I saw it 30 times, so I'll say it. Faroe Islands. We're fully aware where the Faroe Islands are. I can tell you that Patrice, who is a sober producer working amongst other things on the world updates, has actually found data for the Faroe Islands. So we just sent that over to Bing this morning. So we are aware there's actually further north is other islands like Jan Mayen and whatnot. So like, we will not forget. We are aware. Trust me, we're in the globe all the time looking at things. So yeah. So there's that. I think there were questions around the logbook, and I think people feel like we didn't answer the question. Maybe we don't have the answer. Do you know?
So we know how to. So we know how it was happening. So the fact that we corrected this. I'm sorry, I'm getting tired. So yes, we fixed the issue. We know how it was happening. The fact we're not sure of, it's when people have their data lost, how easy it would be for us to refund or to recreate those data, because we don't have a repro case here, so it's hard to tell.
So I guess
at least
we don't know yet if we can restore it, right? So we just don't know. It just came in, like Jane made us aware right before the meeting. Actually, she said, "Are you seeing this? There's 300 votes on this." We're like, let's investigate, because honestly, I haven't seen it. So we haven't seen it, but it's serious. So we need to look at it.
So some part of the team have seen that. So they fixed that up on the feedback we collected on the forums.
Yeah. So we have just about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to go to some of the questions that I think would be the most important to finish out here. So Marcial, last time we asked you, last time you said there is a tiller access or a steering set. I think maybe you were confused because it only works if you assign keys, but for access it doesn't.
Okay,
yeah.
So yes, I give an answer with a SIMBAR. Well, allocation of SIMBAR, which is a key, which was not the proper way to answer to this question, because the question was about axis. And so there's no axis so far. but it's something we are considering doing in the future.
Okay, great. And a question for Seb. So Seb, we're still reporting 3 cloud layers that are always wrong. Are we going to do anything to rectify this? We know we've heard that it's coming, but is there anything else or any other details that you can share? Like, have you figured out what the problem is and what we're working on right now?
I don't know. I have 3 cloud. Yeah, so it seems to be related to the weather whole system that they talked about just before. Updating the system on the weather. But we'll have a look. Is it live weather or is it 3 cloud layers?
3 cloud layers that are always wrong. Yep.
I don't know what that means. So yeah, sorry.
All right. And I saw a very amusing question in chat that said, when are we going to see a landing challenge between Jorg, Seb, and Martial?
What?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay, we need to take this offline. This is serious. Serious challenge, people. Okay,
Sounds like it.
Right.
Thanks, Tito.
I'm game.
I would like to do that in real life rather than the sim.
Oh, okay. Can I ask a couple of more things that I see
Sure.
quite a bit? So I see a couple of things about VR. There is a team working on VR and controllers. We don't have a date yet. But and I haven't played it, even though I play VR a lot, but I hear it's great. So somebody made fun of me, say soon one more time. Hey, soon. Right? And there's a team is working on it.
The team is working on that. So yeah.
And then some people were saying something about the 787. It's funny enough that we just had a conversation about the 787 this morning. We don't know exactly when, but there is going to be attempts, or like the desire is that our base planes are good. Like they're obviously launched at a certain state. The sim has evolved. The plane should evolve with them. We know the 787 is important, so expect something. I'm not even going to say soon. So not soon, but the desire is to do something with it, to not make it just a stale plane that is in that update.
Okay. Question from Pilgrim Father here. The Xbox version, is it going to be cross-play in multiplayer? Well, yes. Yes. Okay. Great to know. I think we're gonna button it up right here, everyone.
There's one more.
Sure.
I'm again, it's very effective to write the same question a lot. The missing airports. So we
Don't
are.
say that. Don't say that, please.
Don't say that. No, it's totally ineffective. No, seriously. So we are aware of the missing airports. There's a strike team that is looking at that right now. I mean, for example, Stuttgart, right, is actually kind of the area where I grew up. It's I know it's missing, and we know why it's missing. So we are now looking at solutions, how we're going to make it happen. There are, I think, I want to say it's 600 that we are aware of. Most of them are smaller, some of them are not. It has something to do, as far as I remember, that either there's a military component or a nuclear power plant anywhere near it, at which point Bing Maps blurs the thing. And we have trouble getting the data. So, but clearly the data is there. So it's we are aware of this. So thank you for the feedback.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to go back to the cloud layers real quick because I'm reading more about it. So I see what the problem is. It's the ATIS weather. It's not relating the selected flight weather, like the live weather, the preset, or the custom weather when you load in, is the issue that they're facing right now, which is why they always get the 3 cloud layers when they load in. And no matter what you do.
So that's a question for Monsieur Martial. It's about ATIS.
I'm sorry, but I didn't understand.
Yeah, ATIS is always wrong with 3 cloud layers.
Yeah.
Okay, but okay. I'm going to investigate. I didn't understand what you just had, Jen, to be honest.
Okay, it's all right. We'll probably investigate it more and maybe have an answer in the forums instead.
Or for the next Q&A session.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, everyone, thank you so much for coming. Just wanted to say again that our first SDK Q&A is coming up next Wednesday, the 21st. That'll be at 10:30 a.m. PDT or 17:30 Zulu if you're following that time. Really appreciate you coming in and asking questions. Does anyone have anything else they want to add?
Please be nice with them because they're super scared. I can tell you. They're in the same time super excited, and it's because they like to get and to collect some feedbacks. But we know that the exercise is not easy, so please be gentle.
Be gentle to the SDK team, please.
As always, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all the feedback. We read it all the time. It's useful. It's helping us. I think with the flighting, it's going to help us even more when you go test and give us direct feedback on the sim. And then the one thing that made me really happy, because I look sometimes at data, our hobby is growing. That's what made me really happy. Like we see the numbers of how many folks play, and it's growing. So that is before we launch on Xbox. So then it's going to grow a lot. But the fundamental thing is, I think this hobby that we all share, the simming and aviation, is in good shape, and I love it. Thank you so much for